Good afternoon, Villa fans. We've got to talk about this. Sunderland won, Aston Villa won yesterday at the Stadium of Light. Might as well call it the Stadium of Darkness, really. Villa, I'm not sure what's happened to my football club here. This is going from bad to worse. Sunderland down to 10 men for a large part of that game, and Villa unable. It was a glorious chance to take the 3 points, to get we got the goal, and to get 3 points on the board. Credit to Sunderland, first of all. I thought they fully deserved a point, maybe even more. Credit to the Sunderland fans as well for the interaction on my match preview. Great to hear from the opposition fans as well. So really, really good. I do like Sunderland. Obviously, being in the Premier League many, many years ago, Quinn Phillips, Peter Reid, and all that sort of stuff. So they've got prestige, and they're a welcome addition to the Premier League. Good stadium as well. So I do hope they stay up. But hope we can beat them at Villa Park in the reverse fixture now as well. But yeah, Sunderland, fully deserved the point, maybe even more. You were threatening even with 10 men. So well done to you guys. Now on to Villa and on to what the hell is going on, really, at my football club at the moment. This was terrible. This is totally unscripted. But the lineup, performance, desire, what's happened to the players, what's going on with the tactics. Emery's been figured out. Teams know how to play against us, when to press, when not to press, which players to press, which areas to press. You know that Villa, if you give it to them in the full-back positions, they're just going to play it back and go around in a circle. And yeah, you've got to start questioning what is going on here. In my instant match reaction, I was, officially Unai out. I want Unai to get this right. Let me say that. I want him to get it right. He's been a fantastic manager for us. He's got a lot of credit in the bank. But if we get to game week 10 and we're still like this, we're still scratching around for goals, we're still, there's no cohesion in the team, there's no way of breaking down teams, then serious questions are going to need to be asked about what goes on. And the fact that he left before the final whistle down the tunnel, shaking, the Sunderland manager's hand, not acknowledging the players and the supporters, which he normally does, wasn't a good look. Let's be honest, it wasn't a good look at all. So there's going to be pressure on Unai Emery like he hasn't felt before now. Fans are questioning, can he adapt? All the good managers adapt in terms of style. You saw Guardiola yesterday with Man City with like 33% possession, almost getting the win there against Arsenal in the end, but having to adapt sort of style. And this still image at the bottom of your page here, this one, is it this one? Yeah, this one here. Jeez, look at that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Villa players, actually all outfield players, looks like they're around the ball. And Granit Xhaka gets a free header on the edge of the D. No one challenging him. It didn't even jump, I think. I think it just, he just landed on his head and he managed to loop it forward. And then you've got all of those defenders back against Isidore, and we can't stop it. Mings, Konsa, Cash, close to the ball. No reaction, no desire. That ball's in the air a long time. There's got to be someone that can meet that ball and just be a bit more aggressive. So yeah, guys, it's bad. It's really bad at the moment when it comes to Aston Villa. I want to talk about, Emery, the players, the formation. Some of the podcasts that I've listened to in the last 24 hours, one or two of them have been really good. Shout out to the Villa Park podcast and Rich in particular, giving a really open and honest assessment. Some other podcasts have been a little bit, what can we say? Don't want to criticize Emery, don't want to sort of say anything sort of negative towards. I think you have to ask questions. You've got to. No one is beyond criticism, and that includes Unai Emery. And he has to adapt. He's got to change ways of playing formation. And if he can't, then, game week 10, if we're still like this, it could be all over. But the club is built around Emery and his staff, and everything is geared towards Unai Emery. Maybe there's too much control and too much power there in that respect. But, I want him to get it right. Let's put that out there. I do like him. I like how passionate he is. And you can see that he is frustrated about what's going on the pitch. And it's, players, tactics need to change. We've got this squad now until January at least. We have to make it work. I would question with Unai Emery is that why is he not playing his own signings? I think there was about 2 players on the pitch yesterday that were his signings, Gassond and Rogers, I believe. The rest of the players on that pitch were either Dean Smith, Steve Bruce, or Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard, Dean Smith, or Steve Bruce signings. So you've got to question why he's only picking 2 of his own players. We've had international break for quite a few of them to get accustomed to formation and ways of playing and what they need to be doing. Other teams seem to be chucking in players as soon as they buy them and they're making impacts. But with us, it's like, no, you join and you sit on the bench until Unai Emery decides 6 months later it's okay for you to start a game, like a Daniel Marlon, for example. And that's got to be frustrating for players. We've talked about Emery and his debrief of games as well. He has 2-hour kind of debriefs. Can you imagine as a player, personally that you're doing shit. If you're doing shit in your job and all of a sudden you got to sit through a 6-hour sort of, debrief and nitpicking at everything that you've done, wrong, when yourself you've done wrong, you've messed up, that can be quite demoralizing as well. So I just wonder if the players are getting really fed up of, I wouldn't say listening to Unai Emery, but certainly, the way that it's coming across, basically, because it needs to be sorted out. It has to be sorted out. It needs a captain, maybe to call a meeting. Maybe McGinn needs to call a players meeting, get them all together without Unai Emery there, and just say what the hell is going on. Why are we not playing like we did last season? It's really the same kind of bunch of players, because he's not playing the new signings. And then you've got to question the lineup that Emery is picking. He's playing players that are, answer me this. What other Premier League starting 11 does Emery Buendia get into? I don't think any. I don't even think Leeds. I know he was linked there as well, but I don't think he is. I don't think he's that level of player. He's all right to come on for the last 10, 15 minutes and a bit of energy here and there, but starting game, and this was a player that we deemed not good enough for us and loaned out, and his days were numbered. Nobody came in for him, so we stuck with him. Doesn't mean he starts games, and especially in front of signings that you've made. Okay, I can understand Jadon Sancho maybe not been ready completely to start games. Harvey Elliott was. Gasson starting the game in the opening couple of minutes, made a couple of slide tackles, had that chance in the first half at the edge of the 6-yard box where he spun and hit it straight at the keeper. That should be fine in the back of the net, really. But apart from that, those 3 moments, I can't recall anything Gasson did until he came off. Emery Buendia, 1 out of 10, anonymous in the whole game. Don't remember one thing that he did. Morgan Rogers, this guy's fall from grace is Dele Alli-like. And I dare say he might be going down that same path. I don't think he will, but he seems like a really good guy. Comes across really well on the interviews, and I want him to do well. I want him to get that spark back. But I think it was in the first 20 minutes, he didn't touch the ball, someone said, in terms of heat map. Ollie Watkins, 7 touches in the whole game and had that chance right at the end. And, he's been scoring headers for fun in pre-season, totally out of form. No chances, not even looking close to a chance for scoring. I just don't know what's happened. I absolutely don't know what's happened to my football club. Morgan Rogers is, the young player of the year, performing well for England. If you're going on his Villa form, he's not going to get in the England squad, but he will because he plays well for England. So it's really, really frustrating to watch Villa at the moment. I was sort of saying that we should be matching Sunderland up, maybe with 3 in midfield, playing with 2 number 10s. Obviously, he went with a double pivot with McGinn and Kamara, and dropped Lamar Bogard. And then we had like Gasson from the right, Buendia from the left, Rogers in the 10. And it's just like, it needs freshening up. Harvey Elliott should be starting. Jadon Sancho at half-time at least. There needed changes. There needed to be changes, sorry. I said it in my half-time reaction that, they're down to 10 men, and rightly so. The guy's kicked out on Matty Cash, and he was proving a problem down that left-hand side to begin with, for them, good outlet. And that is if Villa ever needed a moment to go and take the game, that was it. And go and be positive. I didn't want to see the same 11 coming out for the second half. And when I did see the same 11 coming out, I just thought, what the hell is this? You don't need a back 4 against 10. You don't need 2 holding midfielders against 10. You could switch it around and really put on maybe a second striker, maybe put on progressive wingers instead of fullbacks and go three at the back, maybe drop Kamara into that sort of mix in with Mings and Konsa and, really sort of pin them back and go at them. But we didn't see that. We saw this slow, ponderous passing around the back. I think Rich from the Villa podcast called it as well. Like, it's taking like 6 or 7 passes just to get it out to Matty Cash on the right back. Or 6 or 7 touches even. And then it's just been recycled anyway. It's like, well, surely you could have played that pass out to the fullback in 1 pass or 2 passes. We're just not quick enough with the passing. Movement-wise, not great. Unai Emery, he called out Harvey Elliott for passing the ball too quick, for playing that pass in behind too quickly. If you're not playing passes in behind quickly, then what are you doing? You're giving the other opposition time to retreat, time to get their ball back, the bank of 4 and the midfield set and all that sort of stuff. You need to have players who can put balls in behind. So for him to be critical of someone like Harvey Elliott for doing that, he's called the players lazy. He said they're defended lazy. So how's that going to make the team feel as well? So the reaction from the manager hasn't been great. And we haven't seen this sign of Unai Emery before. So, it's Emery's fault in terms of tactics and the lineup, because that's on him. Absolutely. And he's got to be playing his players. You're signing these players for big fees. Daniel Marlon has, been at the club, hardly started a game, not had any chance to get any sort of momentum going. Doesn't know what position he's playing, really. He had that chance in the second half where he raced onto it, and I don't know what he did. He just lost control of it and knocked it too far in front. Who knows? But it feels like we've signed Daniel Marlon's lookalike. There's that guy, the actor, or Hector, who's in most of those films that looks like Daniel Marlon, and probably signed him. But it's just he's been horrendous. 140 grand a week. Luca Digne is finished for me. Good as a backup player. He just signed a new contract, but didn't cross the halfway line when he was on that pitch. Don't remember getting forward at all, which is a shame because he put in some good crosses in pre-season, which Watkins scored from. But this season, I haven't seen anything going forward from him. So I think he needs to be coming out of the team. Matty Cash, I've been critical of, but he took a shot. If you don't shoot, you don't score. But let's be honest, the keeper should be saving that. I know it had a lot of movement in it. He's got 2 hands on it. Should be keeping that out. But Matty Cash, well done, mate. You shot, you scored. That's what it takes. We've got to do more shooting from long range. You can't just try to build up and go play through teams. It just doesn't work like that. So you've got to change up your tactics a little bit. Sometimes you've got to take a few long shots from 25 yards. Keeper might parry it and it might be a rebound. When we can't just keep scoring these ticky-tacky kind of type goals where you're dribbling it in and doing nice possession passing. Sometimes it just takes for someone to shoot, just to, get a goal. And that's what obviously Jean Duran was good at when he was here. He just let go of a shot. Leipzig, Everton, Bayern Munich, shoot and score. There might be others as well, but we're missing that kind of player that can do that. I just thought the lineup was wrong. The subs that came on were too late. It should have happened earlier. Harvey Elliott having a chance, curling one wide. Jadon Sancho, he put in one good cross at the end, is what I would say about Jadon Sancho. That was a good cross for Ollie Watkins, who should have really scored that goal. Apart from that, he didn't drive at his fullback. He was trying to stand the fullback up a little bit here and there. Didn't go past him on that many occasions, as far as I can remember. I mean, that's supposed to be his game. But he couldn't get past him. His link up with Martson wasn't brilliant. They were trying to get things moving, but it wasn't great. Just overall, guys, it was really, really bad to watch that. The players, have they stopped listening to Unai Emery? I mean, if you're having a crap week at work, let's say, or crap, a quarter at work, and all of a sudden your manager sort of calls you in and you have that 2-hour debrief, which Emery has with them after every game, and yourself that you've done rubbish, you played crap, you've performed rubbish. Do you really want to be hearing it from the manager as well and just getting that double dose, you feeling rubbish, manager making you feel rubbish, and it just kind of goes out, you go on the pitch, you're feeling like crap anyway. So what good can these 2-hour debriefs do? But maybe he needs to sort of rein those in. But the players need to be accountable. You've got to run. You've got to put in effort. I saw players walking on that pitch. Look at that still image there. Morgan Rogers is walking. His feet are planted on the floor. There's no urgency to get out to the ball, to put a press in, to tackle in. anything. So, guys, I don't know where we go from this, but tactics maybe need to change. Maybe we need to go with more sort of progressive kind of wingers. I mean, you've got Sancho on the left, Martin as a left back behind him. What else can we do? Gassond on the right, but I haven't seen too much from him. Midfield three, perhaps. Maybe drop Morgan Rogers, but I've got a feeling Emery's just going to continue to play him into form. But we've got Bologna next on Thursday. And, you've got to start questioning the transfers as well before I talk about, the Bologna game just quickly. Transfer business, as I said, Emery largely started with players like Dean Smith, Steven Gerrard, and John McGinn. Obviously, Steve Bruce signed. Two players played that he signed, Gassond and Rogers. The other signings all on the bench. So why is he not trusting and playing his own signings? These are players that you've bought. Other teams throw their debut players in, and it doesn't take long for them to, adapt to a system. But here it's like you can't play until you've fully learned the system and how to play it. But surely you've got to give them some experience about how to learn it and how to play it. You can't be playing players like Emi Buendia. Not being bad, he's just not cut out for this level at all for me. And you got to look at Monchi. He's the guy who's supposed to be making these transfers. Obviously, Emery is approving all of these signings. But so far, we haven't seen that many good signings from Monchi's time. And Unai Emery, you can say, obviously, Rogers, success, obviously. Tielemans, not even sure that was a Monchi signing because he joined on the same day that Monchi started. So that's probably an Unai Emery signing there. So you could say Tielemans was a good success. But apart from that, we obviously ran Rashford and Asensio last year on loan, and they were successes, but we couldn't keep them. So it really begs the question about the signings and, the transfer business that's going on. I've said this before, that Monchi absolutely ruined Roma and his time there, and they're still feeling the repercussions of his tenure as their director of football. And Villa, Daniel Marlon, 140 grand a week, 21 million. Doesn't look like any sort of Premier League level footballer at all. Gassond, I know it's early days and it's reserve judgment, but I can't see the touch. I can't see it with him at the moment. I'm hoping it's going to turn around for him, but it wouldn't surprise me if in a year or two he ends up back in France playing for Marseille or something. And then Harvey Elliott, you signed this guy. You said he's ready. You said he's been training consistently. Give him a chance. Play him. Don't criticize him for being, too rushed on the ball, because we need a bit of urgency. We don't want players just holding onto the ball and playing just centrally. We need to play the ball out wide, get some crosses into the box, like pre-season was. We haven't seen anything from pre-season to now, how we're playing. It looks like a totally different idea and identity, as Unai Emery sort of called it. So the players need to be accountable for it as well. But yeah, it's been rubbish, and I'm really, really frustrated watching Villa at the moment. It's just crap. I hope we can get a win on Thursday against Bologna in this Europa League. Maybe a different competition, maybe a different style of opposition might be suiting us. But Bologna are going to be a tough team. I'll do a match preview for that. But, they're going to be a stronger Bologna than last season. I'll warn you that now. They've got players like Jonathan Rowe, Immobile, Orsolini, who are very dangerous players in their attacking formation. So we need to watch out for those guys. But it's not good to watch. The tickets have gone on general sale as well. I can't believe this. There's like thousands of tickets still available, even though the game's on Thursday. Like normally, your first game of the Europa League campaign, I thought it would be a sellout. But no, tickets are still available. So that's a bit of a surprise. Maybe the fan base is feeling a bit like, I don't really want to go. But let's get behind the team. Let's support them. We need some freshness into the team. Need some fresh ideas and tactics. Can we please get Matty Cash off set pieces and put someone else on there? And yeah, we just need to play with pace, wingers, just give them a bit of freedom. I think Thierry Henry said something about Pep Guardiola when Pep was manager of Barcelona, that Pep would coach Barcelona, I'm not comparing us to Barcelona, but would coach them 75% of the way. So he would get them basically from defence to midfield to the sort of final third. And then that remaining 25% was down to individual sort of players and their own kind of being fluid and allowed sort of freedom to express themselves. And I'm saying we haven't got the same level of players as Barcelona had, absolutely not. But it's an interesting thought. Maybe we can coach the team up to a certain point, and then you just need to let them be free flow a little bit. And because at the moment it just seems very, very robotic and stale. Maybe just let them shoot, let them get some skills in and take on their man, be a bit positive. Because at the moment it just seems to be going back. It's possession, but it's possession for possession's sake. It's not possession as in being progressive with the ball and creating chances. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose my head again. So I don't want to reflect on this too much. Onwards and upwards to Bologna on Thursday. Then we've got, I think it's Fulham, Burnley, I think, after that. So 2, you would like to think, winnable games, both at Villa Park, I believe. So if we're not getting points from Fulham and Burnley, I would say a minimum 4, then big questions need to be asked. And if it all goes pear-shaped against Bologna on Thursday, wow, what's Villa Park going to be like? Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, comment, give me your thoughts. I know it was a bit of a depressing performance yesterday, but let me know your thoughts. Do like and subscribe, help the channel out, and I'll be back at you with a Bologna preview perhaps tomorrow. Anyway, till then, enjoy your days. Bye for now.